First steps for the content packs for GDPR, CCPA and POPI Act. This tutorial was created with the Adoption Readiness tool. So as a first step, what are the content packs? They are the full official regulations in ALM Octane or ALM Quality Center, the General Data Protection Regulation from the European Union, the California Customer Protection Act from California, or the Protection of Personal Information Act from South Africa. The goal is to manage regulatory projects professionally. And yeah, that's not spreadsheets. How does it work? ALM Octane or ALM Quality Center are the single source of truth for your regulatory projects. And they contain use cases and references to relevant products. As a next step, how do you get the content packs? Please download them and the documentation from the link you see on the screen. Step 3, let's start. In the next few minutes, you will see some use cases in ALM Octane. You could also use ALM Quality Center. The use cases are quite similar there. And we're using the GDPR, so the European Union's regulation. You could also use the POPI Act from South Africa or the CCPA from California. Log into your ALM Octane project. You can either use ALM Octane installed locally or in the cloud as a SaaS solution. Once you have that screen, click on the menu control. We call this the hamburger menu. The large top menu shows you the main features or modules of ALM Octane. For this use case, click on Requirements Author. This opens the requirements in the author mode. It's kind of a Word-like view. On the left, you see the chapters of the regulation. Click on Chapter 1 to open it. On the left, you now see the structure of the regulation: chapters, articles, paragraphs. This might seem to be quite trivial, but in fact it's really useful. The regulations are available as PDF format and don't have that structure. In ALM Octane, you can use this as table of contents to jump to the article you want to work with. In this case, click on Article 4 to open it. Article 4 Definitions has various sections, so click on 5 to open that section. So that was easy. We're now at section 5 of Article 4 of the GDPR. This is the original text of the GDPR. And in fact, you can have it in any of the 24 EU languages. And for the POPI Act in South Africa, you can have it both in Afrikaans and in English. So this was the author mode, where we see the regulation in a Word-like style. We will now change to Manage mode, where we see each entity individually. To see all elements, we click on the root element of the tree, Requirements. This view shows different aspects of requirements. Overview is a dashboard. Children are linked to the requirement on the left, and tests and defects are tests and defects linked to the requirement. Now click on the Children tab. So this is now a table with all requirements or elements of the regulation. In case of the GDPR, more than 1,000 elements. Let's find some text in the regulation and click on the search icon. So we want to search for the text pseudonymization, a very complicated word for a non-native speaker. So we just type in pseudo in the search box to find anything which starts with that term. As you can see, we found 13 requirements which contain that term. Click on the ID of the requirement you want to open. This is the original text of the GDPR. You can have it in any of the 24 EU languages. Now click on the History tab. The history shows the audit trail of the item, so we can see who changed what, when. Now click on the Details tab. Following or notifications are really useful to understand when an item was changed, so click the Follow button to activate following this item. So now following this item with the standard notification settings, but we can manage when we will get a notification, and to do that, click the arrow button. You can get notifications for attribute changes, new attachments, new or edited comments, or phase changes. And you can define if you get these notifications by email or in your My Work folder in ALM Octane. Let's activate notifications for attribute changes. We also activate notifications for new attachments and click on that icon. That's it. Click the Save button to activate these notifications. A requirement, this section in the GDPR, can have relations to other items. Click on the Relations tab to view them. Click on the plus icon to view all linked features. Drag with your mouse to move the view. You can also zoom in and zoom out. Click the plus icon to view all linked defects. As you can see, there are currently 2 defects linked to this requirement. Now drag with your mouse to move the view so you can see both the features and the defects. Now let's have a look at one of the features which is linked to a requirement. Just click on the ID of the feature you want to open. So this is one of the features linked to our requirement. As you can see, the feature dialog is quite similar to what you know from the requirement dialog. Click on the arrow button to go back to the requirement. We currently have 2 defects linked to our requirement. We will now add a relation or link to another defect. As you can see, you can link various other items to our requirement. For the example, click on Linked Defect. You can use the search icon and the filter to find the defects you want to link to your requirement. Then tick the box for the defect you want to link to the requirement. Now click the Add button to link the defect to the requirement. As you can see, there are now 3 defects linked to the requirement. Click on the plus icon to view all linked defects. Drag with your mouse to move the view. As you can see, the defect is now linked to our requirement. We now want to go back to the list of requirements, so the whole regulation. To do that, click on the requirements link. As you can see, we only see a few of the requirements because the filter for pseudo is still active. Click the X to clear the search box. We now see all items of the regulation. In case of the GDPR, it's more than 1,000 of them. That's why we want to filter by tag now. To do that, click the plus button. In this example, we want to filter for the tag corrigendum. It's sufficient to type the first characters in the search box. It just needs a few characters to find the correct item. So click on corrigendum. The corrigendum was an update of the GDPR published by the European Union. We want to analyze what changed for a specific item. So click on the ID of the requirement you want to analyze. The description shows the current version of the GDPR. To analyze the changes, the previous version of the GDPR, click on the History tab. This is the history, the audit trail of our requirement. When we analyze it, we can see that there was a change in the description. So we click on View Changes to analyze that. On the left, you see the old value, the very first version of the GDPR. As you can see, the European Union removed the whole sentence. So on the right, the new value is the current status. To go back to the previous screen, click the Close button. The next part of the tutorial is in the quality module. To go there, click on the hamburger menu. First, we want to analyze features. You can work with features in various modules, so you see them in the backlog, in the team backlog, and in the quality module. For this example, click on Features in the quality module. So these are all features. This looks quite familiar, like the Requirements Manage module, so you can also use filters there. Next, click on the Tests tab. These are the tests related to the regulation. There are different types of tests, in this case manual tests with a blue icon and gherkin tests with a green icon. Select one of the manual tests by clicking on the ID. Manual tests have a quite simple format. You have normal steps you want to execute during testing and validation steps you do in between to verify that your test was successful. After reviewing the test script, go back to the previous screen with the arrow button. Now we want to open a gherkin test, so just click on the ID of one of the gherkin tests. As you can see, the gherkin test has a different format than the manual test. While manual tests are quite simple, gherkin tests have a structure which makes it much easier to understand them, and they are a first step to test automation. After reviewing the test script, click on the arrow button to go back to the previous screen. Now we want to have a look at the defects in the quality module. It's pretty simple, just click on the Defects tab. As before, just click on the ID of the defect you want to open. The defect dialog is quite similar to the requirement or feature dialog, just with different attributes relevant for defects, of course. We now want to add tasks to fix our defect. To do that, click on the Tasks tab. As you can see, our defect currently doesn't have any tasks to fix it. So click on the plus icon to add a new task. Just put in the name of your task. For example, prepare concept to synchronize test data. Since we want to add another task afterwards, click on the Add and Another button. For the second task, type in, for example, proof of value for Micro Focus secure data. To add this task, just click on Add. As you can see, our defect now has two tasks attached. You can just grab one of the cards and drag it into the column In Progress. It's that easy to indicate you're working on it. This taskboard can be used to manage really large software development or regulatory projects. Now we are going to a different module, the dashboard. To go there, click on the hamburger menu. And to open the dashboard, well, click on Dashboard. The dashboard gives you a real-time overview of your project. You can customize so you can see the graphs you want to see for your project. So this was a very short introduction into a few ALM Octane features relevant for regulatory projects. To learn all the other great ALM Octane features, please have a look at the ALM Octane Help Center. It contains a lot of useful information for beginners and experts. You have now seen how easy it is to manage regulatory projects in ALM Octane. The next steps are quite obvious. Try the content packs. Just download them from the link you see on the screen. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to contact me via dirk.hederich@microfocus.com. Thanks for watching this tutorial.